Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite. Voices like the park, fans dripped in jerseys. Legacy bold, the Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the amazing Mets PreGame Show right here on the channel and on X. Oh boy, Mets fans, that was not a fun game to watch yesterday as the New York Mets lose 5-4 to the Washington Nationals, as the Mets had to come all the way back from a despicable waste of a start from Kodai Senga. Guys, when are you going to jump on my bandwagon about Kodai Senga not being a good pitcher? Can we finally jump on that bandwagon, right? All the stupid people that used to say, oh, he's an ace. He's not. He is very unreliable, and he's consistently hurt. He's been with the Mets 3 years, nearly a little more than half of that. He's been hurt for the New York Mets. He is not reliable, consistent, and good enough to warrant all these stupid ass rules that they put on him and have to make everybody else deal with in the rotation just to get a performance like that again. He hasn't won a game since June. He is a pitcher that can't go past 5 innings anymore, and he gets through the second time through the order, and they know exactly what to do against him. This is the same situation that we continue to talk about Kodai Senga over and over and over again. And I want people to hear me, because I've said this many times, but people don't want to listen or want to blame everybody else but Kodai Senga. The forkball, the ghost fork, isn't effective anymore like it was his first year, because nobody saw it. Even when you saw it the second time around, it was still a big adjustment period. But everybody figured him out already. They don't swing at that pitch anymore. He doesn't throw 4 strikes enough where you have to swing at it. It's constantly in the dirt. It's constantly nowhere near the plate. And they're just spinning on it. They continue to spin on it, continue to spin on it. And his terrible fastball that doesn't shock anybody, doesn't surprise anybody, because it's straight as an arrow. And they wait for that pitch, and they were hitting fastball after fastball after fastball yesterday because they did not have to worry about that ghost fork pitch. And the hell with the breaking pitches he throws or the off-speed pitches. Doesn't matter. He don't throw those for strikes either. As soon as the second time through the order came up, they had it on lock. Yeah, Patriots, I don't know. See, I don't like good pitcher that needs all these special requirements to get on the mound each and every day. And it's not that I get annoyed about him getting that special treatment. That special treatment affects other pitchers in this rotation. You got to give more guys an extra day rest just to appease Kodai Senga to get on the mound. And that's the problem that I have. Guys like Sean Manaea, guys like David Peterson, guys like that have been in rotations, for a good amount of time, who are used to going every fifth day. They're not doing that. And right now, it might seem like it's a good idea, but when you need them the most, especially during playoff time, and you might need them to pitch twice in a short series and 3 times in a long series, how do we know they can do that? How do we know that you could just say, oh, we need you, and it's just going to happen? So Kodai Senga, to me, wasn't a good enough pitcher because there's more factors than just throwing a ball to a batter. And nobody wants to talk about that, right? All the fools that continue to call him ace, and it was a lot of people before the season. Oh, we're getting Kodai Senga back. So what? He's constantly injured. He's not good enough when he returns. And he has too many outings like he had last night. And people go bonkers for what he did his previous start, which was an average start. You know how many pitchers have starts like him? He's supposed to be better than that. That's the problem. He's supposed to be better than that. He wasn't lights out. No. The first year, no pressure. The team was done in June, and they were giving him a week off between every start. That's a problem within itself. They should have, and I blame the Mets for this. I'm not blaming Kodai Senga. He's just doing what he asked them to do, and they continue to do it, which they're fools to do. You got a pitcher over here that you couldn't adjust that year when the Mets were done, because they were done in June in 2023. They were ready to sell their players off. They could have gradually got him into the every fifth day pitching for the final 3-4 months of the season. They could have done that. The Mets did it the rest of the season, and then they tell you the following year, by the way, oh, he got hurt, by the way, so he didn't even pitch. So all that extra days rest, all that babying, and he got hurt anyway. And oh, by the way, you signed a guy who was often injured in Japan. So that is on the New York Mets. I'm not blaming Kodai Senga for getting injured. That's his MO. We've all known that. There were concerns coming out of Japan that he had injury concerns, and a lot of them weren't arm injuries. They were hamstrings. They were, contusions. They were a lot of different soft tissue injuries that didn't have to do with the arm. So it was constant problems in Japan as well with his injuries. And it's not, again, the Mets, and this was Billy Epler, so I'm not gonna go crazy here. But the fact is, when you have to rely on a pitcher so much as the Mets do, the Mets told you that getting Clay Holmes, getting Frankie Montas, telling you that Sean Manaea, the $20 million man who's not earning his money, that him and Kodai Senga are your number 1 and number 2, yet Kodai Senga needs all these special treatments just to get on the mound. Doesn't matter if he pitches well or not. That doesn't count, right? You didn't even get to that point yet. Everything has to go smoothly for him between starts to get on that mound on the 6th day. And he fucks up everybody else's days off as well, because they need to give him days off. The reason why Tyler McGill, who's going to be a part of this rotation when he comes back, because he will be, because you need a 6-man rotation. You need a 6-man. So this is the problem. When you have Kodai Senga and you got to give him a 5th day off and pitch on his 6th day, you have to go to his 6-man rotation, because it's not sensible. It's hard to do it with a 5-man rotation. And when you go to a 6-man rotation, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a bad pitcher at the end of that rotation. And no guarantee anybody else is going to pitch well that you're giving all these special treatments to in Kodai Senga. That is the problem. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sick and tired of Kodai Senga. Like, he gets all this special treatment. Look, he's not DeGrom. He is not a top 5 pitcher in baseball. I'm sweaty right now. David Peterson, over the last 2 years, has had 2 better seasons than Kodai Senga had in any time of the year that he was healthy. That's how different. That's why Kodai Senga is just not good to me. He's not. I'm sorry. A good pitcher is needed when required, not needed when you're feeling okay. When, and don't forget, when he's injured, it takes him forever to come back. Simple injuries with a little bit of a low-grade strain that he had on his hamstring, guys come back in 2 weeks. This guy needed a month. And he still can't pitch well. I'm sorry. I just don't like him. And Casey, you know what? I don't even think it's just the Mets either. It is other teams as well, but I focus on the Mets, right? They had an opportunity in 2023 when they were well out of the playoffs, while they were about to ready to trade everybody at the deadline. They had 3 months to get him away from that pitching every 6th day and get him into the habit of pitching every 5th day. If you didn't believe that he can do it, then why did you ever sign him in the first place? Not only did he have injury concerns coming out of Japan, there was always concern that are they gonna wean him off that pitching once a week? Pitching every 6th day and pitching like a normal starter in Major League Baseball every 5th day. Because the whole plan when you get a Japanese pitcher is to protect them early because they just got here, the bigger ball, the different speed of the game, all that craziness, and pitching every 5th day. You want to be careful with that early on. But there was no need to do that from July of 2023. All you had to do was say, hey, pitch every 5th day. We're already out of the playoffs. We're not making the playoffs. So I don't care if you win or lose. I want you to get comfortable pitching every 5th day. That should have been the goal in 2023 when the Mets were out of it. Right after the deadline, they had August and September, at least 2 months to wee him off of that pitching every 6th day. And then while he did it for 2 months, he got the whole offseason to rest and come back in spring training and work on it again every 5th day. But what happened? They babied the shit out of him. They kept the rule of what he was doing in Japan the whole year, and he still got hurt in 2024. So what are we doing here? And then, and this is not even about injuries, guys. I want people to understand that this is not about Kodai Senga injuries, why they're doing it every 6th day. They're doing it every 6th day. I want people to do a little homework. Look at Kodai Senga, and it's not a lot of starts, but that's the Mets' fault. It's not a lot of starts. When he pitches every 5th day, and it's very rare, he has over a 5 ERA. He can't pitch every 5th day. And that's because the Mets never even developed him into a every 5th days type of starter. So this whole nonsense about a 6-man rotation isn't because, hey, we got so many good pitchers, let's have 6 guys out there. No, you're not going to have 6 good pitchers. You're going to have a couple of bad ones because at the back end of your rotation, you're going to have guys that wouldn't be in the rotation because of Kodai Senga and what he needs. It is stupid how crazy this is. It really is. I'm sorry. Like, it's not even about the 5 innings, Dolo, right? I don't even expect him to go deep into games anymore. Like, I go into a Kodai Senga start saying, you know what? I hope he can go 6 innings, but I'm not even expecting that. But can you give me 5 innings, 2 runs? After the 2nd inning, he gave up at least 1 run in every inning, 3rd inning, 4th inning, 5th inning, 2-2-1. Like, I'm sorry. The offense, and we'll get into the offense in a little bit, right? They have been really good over the last, I would say, 2 weeks now, where they've been scoring over 6 runs per game. You can't constantly score 6 runs a game. And that's supposed to happen every game. It's crazy to me. Like, there was people mad about the offense. Like, guys, we're allowed to win a 4-3 game, a 3-2 game. That happens in baseball. Like, people are just brainwashed the fact that, oh, you have to score 6 runs a game or you're not going to win. That's nonsense. How about your pitcher don't give up 5 goddamn runs in the first 5 innings? Like, it's got to stop. And look, the offense didn't do enough. Obviously, they had opportunities. They didn't do their job. Right? The bullpen came in and held it to 5 runs. Good job. But you can't always expect the offense to score 6 runs, 7 runs, 8 runs every day. Like, that's impossible. Nobody does that. Like, why do people act so stupid on social media? Like, oh my God, it's all the Mets offense fault because they didn't score 6 runs. Like, are you serious? We're allowed to win a 2-1 ball game, a 3-2 ball game. That's all we did in April and May, but nobody cared about it when we were winning. When we're losing, now we have to score 12 runs a game to win. I said it before and I say it again. The pitching was and always will be the problem for this team. I said it from day one. Go back to March 31st or 30th. One of those days, whatever day opening day was in Houston. I was there. I was in my hotel room with my boy Chris doing a pregame show prior to leaving to go to the game. I said it. I said, you can trust this rotation. I don't trust it. I don't care what they do early on, because early on success doesn't mean anything to me, because they're fresh. They're coming out of spring training with no innings on their belt. Very few innings on their belt. I was not expecting this to be a sustainable rotation. And I said that. I didn't like the Minaya move alone. I thought it was stupid. You paid him like a top pitcher, which, again, he hasn't been for 5 years. And he changed his mechanics, and he was really good last year, and I give him all the credit in the world, right? We fall back. Like, people say, oh, Rob, don't talk about history, but they can't wait to talk about Manaya's last year. I don't care about last year. The same thing I don't care about Vientos' numbers last year. It doesn't matter to me. There's still people saying Brett Beatty should have been cut. Yet he's the only one been Mr. Consistent the entire season, even when he got sent down. And he has less at-bats than Vientos, and he has better numbers. So the fact is, Kodai Senga failed this team once again. Again, this guy cannot be trusted. This is why when people talk about the playoffs, I mean, Kodai Senga is going to pitch. We all know that. But, I mean, how are you confident in a guy? I have more confidence in Clay Holmes in a playoff start than I do Kodai Senga. That should not even be a conversation, because I know I'm getting 5 innings from Clay Holmes. I'm not expecting more. But you know what? Clay Holmes will throw up a 5 innings, 2-run spot. Kodai Senga, he'll go 5 innings, but he'll give up 4 or 5 runs. And then people went bonkers his last start. Like, it was amazing. It was average. Like, we got to stop making average great or average really good. It's not. He's just not consistent at all. And it's frustrating. And this guy cannot be relied on. Like, there should be no reason this guy pitches in any of the top 3 games in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Give me Peterson, give me Minaya, and I'll even say Clay Holmes pitching game number 3. Seriously. Because at least Clay Holmes battles a little bit. Kodai Senga, as soon as things don't work out, he implodes. Like, that is what he does now. And it's frustrating and so goddamn annoying. But Patrick, that's the thing. Like, if he was getting 6 days rest, and I'm not even talking about pitching well, because again, you're gonna have bad starts. I understand that. But when you're getting a 6 day off, and sometimes you're getting 7 days off based on the scheduling, he gets extra days off at every opportunity they can. This guy can't get into the 6th inning and can't even go. Like, why have all these extra days off if you give up a couple of runs, let's say 3 runs, but you get into the 7th inning, you throw 100 pitches. All right. I would accept that, because 3 runs is not a major deficit. 5-0 is a major deficit. Like, it's just so annoying that people continue to lay on that Kodai Senga, jump on that Kodai Senga bandwagon. And again, who was it? Was it Evan Roberts, right? I love listening to WFN. It's not as good as it used to be, but I listen to it because I'm not in New York anymore. It's kind of the only thing that sounds like home. Even Evan Roberts say, I'm not worried about Kodai Senga. When are you worrying about Kodai Senga? When are you going to worry? You got what, 35, 36 games left. He's got what, 3 more starts? Maybe 4? When are you going to be worried about Kodai Senga? when he pitches in the playoffs and gets shellacked? Because you can't wait that long for disaster to happen in the playoffs. You got to have a quick trigger. You got to have a quick pull. You have to. Because in the third inning, when he gave up those 2 runs, you're probably taking Kodai Senga out in the playoffs and going to your bullpen. He wouldn't even get the opportunity to give up 3 more runs. That would happen. And I guarantee you guys, Kodai Senga, there will be he would have the shortest leash out of everybody in this rotation in the postseason. When he pitches, there'll be a guy warming up in the number 2 because he's not trustworthy enough. If the Mets believed in him so much, they would have figured out a way to get him where he needs to be every 5th day. But they know that he can't pitch every 5th day because he's not good. And pitching every 6th day is the only way to get him on the mound with the hope of him having a quality start. That's the problem. Yeah, Mullen, everybody's like, oh, playoffs, question mark. As bad as they've been, they still haven't relinquished the playoff spot. Once again, we got a little bit of help from the Angels against the Reds, and we're still up a game. So as bad as we've been, we haven't relinquished a playoff spot. So until we're not in a playoff spot officially, we're in a playoff spot. Like, I don't know why people don't understand that. You're in a playoff spot. Well, season. I mean, why aren't we making the playoffs? We've been in the playoffs all year. Until we're not, then we can start having that conversation. But they haven't relinquished. They either been a half a game tied or more than that. So they're still in it. As much as we don't like how this team has played, they still are in a playoff spot. So it is what it is. Like, yesterday was a bad loss. There was a lot of things that happened in that game that was frustrating. But we also have to understand that you can't expect the offense to score 6 runs every single game. Well, Mullen, who's hurt? We have a healthy rotation. Since the All-Star break, everybody's been here. Everybody's been here. Right? Oh yeah, see, I don't concern myself with the offense. I told everybody the offense is fine. Right? They're gonna have games like they had yesterday. You can't score 6 runs every single game. Nobody does that. It sometimes, you know what? It would be nice if you would have gave up only 3 runs. You score 4, you win the ball game. But you were down 5-0, and they had to make a comeback. Like, that doesn't always happen. Like, it is what it is. It's so annoying. Like, I just don't understand the logic here when it comes to, people continue to talk, protect Senga like he's this jewel. He's not. Like, I need to feel a little bit of confidence when a pitcher goes on the mound. I have none with Kodai Senga. With all the extra, preparation he gets and all the extra treatment he gets, I expect more. I'm sorry. You don't get all these extra treatments and all these little things that they give you to help you get on the mound, and you barely come through. Like, I don't understand that, like, at all. Like, and people are still brainwashed by it. Like, stop it. You're wrong. Like, I haven't liked how Shomanaya has pitched, but I have more confidence in him because at least he looks healthy. It's just taking him some time. You could see that some of his balls have been a little bit more flatter. Like that fastball, that high fastball he was blowing everybody away with last year, isn't surprising as many people at many batters as it was last year. Now, that could be many reasons, but it doesn't feel like that fastball is sneaking up on hitters as it was last year. Now, that could be because they've seen it last year. And that means Shomanaya has to adjust. He might have to, throw it outside instead of up, letter high, or a little bit higher than that. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about Sean Manaea. I think he'll be okay. Now, not what we're paying him. Again, nobody wants to talk about the $20 million Sean Manaea that everybody's talking about, right? He's injured. He hasn't pitched well. And he's making $20 million. But God forbid we talk about his money that he's making, right? Everybody has to talk about Juan Soto. And, nobody wants to talk about the Brandon Nimmo $25 million, right? That don't count. But we can't wait to bring up Lindor's money and Soto's money. Even when Pete Alonso was struggling a little bit, nobody wants to talk about $30 million. But we did give 20, right? Everybody want to talk about the Frankie Montas $17 million. I'm sorry. Sean Manaea is making $20 million, and he hasn't earned it either. And being available is part of your job. Sorry, right? Not every player can prevent injuries. But if you're not available, you're not helping your team. So, yeah, he's part of the problem. But, yeah, Angel, exactly, right? The Mets still control their own destiny. Until they're out of a playoff spot officially, even if it's a half a game, now they don't control their playoff spot. When you're still in one, you control it. Because all you got to do is win. You don't have to look behind. You don't have to scoreboard to watch. We will, especially fans, right? We're looking at the Phillies games. We're looking at the Reds games. But if you're in a playoff spot, all you got to do is take care of your own business. You take care of your own business, you're not going to scoreboard to watch. You can go to bed after the Mets win and wake up and check the Cincinnati score and the Phillies score when you wake up in the morning. Because then you'd be like, oh, good, we gained the game. Great. But when you're out of a playoff spot, you need help, not just what you do. Right now, the Mets don't need help. And Brad, I'm going to get into that a little bit. And I'm going to tell everybody why. And this is another thing, right, Brad? I love you and everything like that, but everybody's wrong in this situation, right? And I'm going to tell you why. And give me one more second when it comes to the pitching. Like, overall, it becomes a problem with everybody. And it's frustrating. So, look, Kodai Senga I'm not a fan. Everybody knows that. And you can continue to, blind yourself of what goes on with Kodai Senga and what it takes for him to get on the mound and still doesn't give you enough is a problem. All right, so let's talk about Luis Torrens and what happened in the ninth inning. Now, one thing I do agree with, I think most of us do, why the hell are you swinging 2-0 when you got Francisco Lindor behind you? You should, honestly, you should take 2 strikes. You're 2-0. You should keep that bat on your shoulder. That's the only thing that I'm gonna blame Luis Torrens for, right? The catcher's interference, I'm not blaming him for. If you look back at the replay, the batter swung so late, and we all know how catchers catch nowadays, right? They frame everything, so they're pushing their gloves up a little further towards the plate. That happens with every catcher. But if you look how late he swung, he basically kind of checked his swing. And it was so late, the glove was already there. And that's why I don't like that rule. I think they're, honestly, you should replay that rule. Because if the batter is swinging so late that he was clearly fooled on the pitch, why are you giving the credit and to the hitter? I don't understand that. Like, that needs to be talked about because that's a stupid rule in my opinion. And Patriots, but you know what? I understand what Luis Torrens is doing, right? His best asset at the plate, which is not a lot, is hitting the ball to the opposite way. Like, that's the only thing he does. He's not a pull hitter. He doesn't, pull the ball at all. He's a guy who hits the ball the other way. So that pitch, I know what he was thinking. He was trying to hit it between the first and second base hole. That's what he was trying to do. Unfortunately, it wasn't where he needed to hit it. It wasn't a pitch to swing at. But I understand what he was doing. Outside pitch, hey, I can drive that to between first and second, get it in that hole, score that run, and, or at least keep the inning going. You might have first and third, and you're rolling with the top of the order. So, yeah. And Pete swinging 3-0 is, that's another useless at bat. I don't want him swinging 3-0. And Pete Alonso hasn't been, he's been a little bit struggling a little bit. So you don't want him swinging at pitches like that. And, as many people talk about Juan Soto and his walks and all that stuff, and he had 2 strikeouts. And Juan Soto, that was a rough game for him yesterday. But overall, I don't want my guys swinging at pitches that are off the plate. Like, if you're going to get, Juan Soto will take his walk. Like, people get frustrated by that, but why give a pitcher an opportunity to get back into the count if you don't have to? Get on base and let the next guy do it. Like, everybody, there's too many batters, and not just the Mets, but in baseball, that feels like they got to do it. They got to get the job done when the pitcher is basically giving you a base. Giving you a base. Take it. So, with Luis Torrens, and I'm going to debunk everybody's craziness here. We all know that Brandon Nimmo came out of the game very early. Starling Marte was on the bench. I'm going to tell you this from jump. If Starling Marte was on the bench in the 9th inning and he didn't have to come in for Brandon Nimmo, he would have pinched it for Luis Torrens. Why, Robert? Okay. There was a lefty on the mound in the 9th inning. Tyrone Taylor can't hit a beach ball. And everybody's be like, well, what about Ronnie Mauricio? Ronnie Mauricio, let me just give everybody a little bit of a fun fact here, okay? Ronnie Mauricio barely has played, got at bats at the major league level against lefties. Not a lot. He's batting 138 with 3 RBIs and 84 plate appearances. Okay? That's terrible. And he's a free swinger. So he swings at everything, especially right-handed. Luis Torrens, on the other hand, again, it's not great. I'm telling you, it's not great. It's not. But it's 100-point difference in an average, which this is what you got to be looking at here. 232, 4 RBIs, and 59 plate appearances. Okay, this season. So he's batting basically almost 100 points better than Ronnie Mauricio. So Ronnie Mauricio wasn't even a contest. Shouldn't have been a thought. And everybody would be like, well, he's your top prospect. He's one of your top prospects. Give him the opportunity. He sucks right-handed. He can't hit left-handed pitchers, right? He's not developed. Remember that word I like to talk about? You should come up developed in the minor leagues, not the Mets. You're halfway developed. Hey, let's just throw you out there. Who cares if we win or lose? Let's just throw you out there so you can just fail at the major league level and lose value in the process. That's what the Mets do. No, we shouldn't. No, we shouldn't. Easy. Mauricio's batting 138 against lefties this season. He's terrible against lefties. At least Luis Torrens has a better opportunity to get a base hit than Ronnie Mauricio against lefties because he hits the ball the other way. He's batting 100 points higher. I'm sorry. That is not a move you make. I'm sorry. People only are infatuated with the prospect of Ronnie Mauricio, not what he's done. If I gave you that stat, you would not want Ronnie Mauricio at the plate. They don't play him against lefties, so you want to put him up in a big spot off the bench, cold, against a lefty. Doesn't make sense. It is not a smart play at all. And then everybody's like, well, why didn't you put Tyrone Taylor in? You know how many people were saying Tyrone Taylor should be off this team? Now everybody wants him to pinch hit for Luis Torrens, who hit the ball twice out of his 4 at-bats yesterday, who hit it hard right at people. The only thing that I would say against Luis Torrens was he shouldn't have swung 2-0. He should have let the pitcher throw a strike, put the pressure on the pitcher. That's the only fault that Torrens did in that at-bat. Like, people were freaking out about Mendoza pinch hitting. Who? If Starling Marte was on the bench, he would have pinched hit. At least he's good against lefties. Tyrone Taylor is an out as soon as he gets to the plate. And Ronnie Mauricio is terrible against lefties. There was nobody to go to. Luis Torrens was your best option. It's not a great option, I'll give you that. But what was available, Torrens was your best option. I'm sorry. You can't convince me. I just gave you the numbers. It doesn't make any sense. Mauricio has been average at best this year. If it was a right-hander on the mound, I would accept your argument of Ronnie Mauricio should have pinched hit. But yeah, easy. You're only saying that because Ronnie Mauricio is this, boy wonder that everybody talks about, 5'2" player, but he's not right now. He is an average player at best. He is a utility prospect. Again, the Mets love these guys. Nobody stepped up. Vientos has stepped up a little bit, and Brett Beatty has stepped up. There was, It's only the thought in your mind about Ronnie Mauricio, not the actual facts of stats, right? That's what Mendoza's going by. Like, what incentive do you have except Ronnie Mauricio might hit one? He strikes out a ton right-handed. A ton. He swings at everything. So that at bat probably would have been just as bad as Luis Torrens. Like, we got to stop. Like, look at the facts, because here's the problem. People only look, this wasn't Vientos coming off the plate. Like, if Vientos, who is not this year, but you expect him to be good against left-handers. If Marte was on the bench, he would have pinched it. Yeah, but easy, but that doesn't make sense, though. Like, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, you can't just go by just a gut feeling either. Like, I'm all for gut feelings, but Ronnie Mauricio hasn't been good enough, and he's been sitting the last couple of days because Beatty and Vientos has been getting playing time. He's hardly played, and he's batting on his weaker side. Like, it's only the thought of Ronnie Mauricio instead of the actual facts that he's done all season. If he's a power threat right-handed, which he isn't even that, I would have had a conversation about. But again, Luis Torrens was your best option to turn in that lineup over, because you don't need, like, yeah, you would love a home run in that spot, which Ronnie Mauricio gives you no power right-handed anyway. Nothing. Yeah, but you couldn't with Senga hit. You couldn't do that. Why? Now everybody wants Hayden Senga to pinch hit for Luis Torrens? Come on, guys. Like, you're grasping, you're fishing for something here. There was nothing to do there. Yeah, but easy. You're not looking to lift the ball in that spot. You're not. And Ronnie Mauricio hasn't provided that type of power right-handed to say that, well, he can provide you some power. He's not. He's terrible right-handed. He is the guy that should not bat right-handed anymore. That's how bad he is right-handed. He has no plate awareness right-handed. He's been better left-handed. And again, if there was a right-hander on the mound, I'm all for saying Mauricio should have been in that spot. But again, remember how I say trickle-down effect? The trickle-down effect was Nimmo leaving the game with the stiff neck, and Marte had to play left field. Now, what I would have done was, and you can understand why Mendoza did this for Marte, because it gives you a bat that's hot, which fine with me. But you could have moved McNeil to left field and put in Ronnie Mauricio at second base, or put Beatty at second base, Mauricio to third, however you wanted to do it. That would have been, I guess, would have been okay, and you could have saved Marte for the bench. But we were already down. We were already, it was already the inning where it was like, oh, here we go. Like, it was starting to become obvious that Senga wasn't going to have a good night. So Mendoza was trying to think, hey, who's my hot bat? It's Marte. Let me put him in the lineup where he's batting third in the lineup. Like, that was the idea there. No, and that's the thing. Dola, I agree with you. We see the potential in Ronnie Mauricio, but potential doesn't mean anything. Like, again, we're bringing these, and this is why I cannot stand the roster construction. These guys are not developed enough, and we're expecting them to you're putting them in spots, which is not nobody's fault except Stearns' fault. It's not Mendoza's fault. You can't play 12 guys a game. You can't all start 12 guys. You can't do it. You can't. And in a situation where Ronnie Mauricio is not good right-handed, in a situation where you would love a home run, what do you think Ronnie Mauricio is going to do? He's going to uppercut and overswing. That's what he's going to do. Like that's what he's doing. So, like, you're putting a kid in the, and I'm not blaming Ronnie Mauricio here. Like, you would put him in a spot where it's not a good spot for him. It's not. And that's why I don't like this roster construction. Like, these are kids that are used to playing every day in the minors, and you constantly have to sit them because there's not enough places to play them. And some guys are not playing well, so you can't play them. So you got to sit them. You're not taking Jeff McNeil's bat out of the lineup so you can just play Ronnie Mauricio and the potential of him being good. Like, potential doesn't help you with 36 games to go. I'm sorry. It's just stupid. Caesar, that's where I agree with, right? We go back to the 6th inning when the Mets started to make that rally back. And Mullen should have hit the sac fly as well. You know, when they were starting to rally, he had an opportunity to get a sac fly there. He didn't. He popped it up to short right, excuse me. And the runner couldn't score. McNeil couldn't score. And then, Luis Torrens, he hit the ball hard, but he hit it right at second base. What are you going to do, right? Yeah, Angel, exactly, 138. Davin, but why would you wish Jesse Winker was back? The only thing that I could have said, Davin, was the fact that Jesse Winker might have played left field and Marte would have still been on the bench. Because you put in Jesse Winker against a lefty, he don't hit lefties well either. So, again, we can go back to roster construction. And UWL, I agree, Mullins has been disappointing. But, again, I said this from the jump. I wasn't expecting Cedric Mullins to be a difference maker here. Right? He's a professional. He'll play really good defense. He'll occasionally give you 2 hits a game, and he'll pop one over the wall every now and then and give you some speed. But that is why I wanted a more of a possible impact bat like a Luis Robert. Like that's what I'm hoping. That's why I wanted a guy like that, because he has more potential than Cedric Mullins. You can see since All-Star break how better he's playing. He's showing a bit more power. He's showing the speed that he has all season, and he's playing better. Like, that's why I wanted a guy like that. And, people talking about, and I agreed with people about, getting Cedric Mullins and adding another lefty to this lineup. Because, again, this is called roster construction. It doesn't make sense sometimes. Luis Robert would at least give you another right-handed bat that you were already over using too much of lefties as it is on this roster. You talk about Brett Beatty. You got Ronnie Mauricio, who's a switch hitter, but you're not playing him against lefties, so he's only batting left-handed against right-handers. You got Nimmo, you got Soto, you got Lindor the majority of the time until he bats right-handed when the lefty's in the mound. You got too many left-handers. And that was the other reason why Luis Robert made more sense. And again, everybody's like, well, did you want to trade Mark Vientos? Did you want to trade Cooney? Yes, because at that time, and by the way, Luis Robert has better numbers than Mark Vientos right now. So we could talk about the numbers all you want, and you could say, oh, well, look what he did the last couple of games. Yeah, but we're not talking about that on July 31st when Vientos was terrible. And there's no reason why where Vientos was still struggling up until this point. This is 19 days after the trade deadline. He still wasn't good. Luis Robert's numbers trump Mark Vientos' numbers. So that's the biggest problem. Roster construction doesn't make sense. It puts Mendoza in a terrible spot because every day you're getting, why isn't Vientos playing? Why isn't Beatty playing? Why isn't Mauricio playing? How are you going to do that when Jeff McNeil has been one of your consistent hitters basically since he's come back from injury? And he's been basically the second hottest hitter other than Marte and Lindor in this lineup. You have to play him somewhere. You're not taking Nimmo out of the lineup when he's healthy. So McNeil's playing second base, and that's why you see McNeil DH every now and then, because Mendoza's trying to get these kids in the lineup. But you can't do it every day. And with Beatty playing more consistently than everybody, he's playing every day, either second or third base. And look at today. You're sacrificing your defense in Mark Vientos at third base. Why? Because Mauricio hasn't been effective enough. He needs time to develop still. And you can't put Mauricio in there because Vientos has shown signs of looking better, and Brett Beatty has been hot. So where are you playing Mauricio? Now he's on the bench once again, where he's coming up in a spot where he's not comfortable with because he plays every day in the minor leagues. Now he's probably going to get a pinch hit appearance sometime during this game if the game is closed, if there's a righty on the mound. So now he's going to come up cold off the bench, which he's not used to. Same thing goes for Vientos and Biggie. Like, that's the problem. And Tyron Taylor's getting a start today because Nimmo's hurt. So that's the overall problem. And Luis Torrens, who is already getting beat up behind the plate, it's a guy that can't play every day because he's the catcher. So Senga's going to play. Now, Senga's a fine backup. There's nothing wrong with him. He's good defensively, and I'm not expecting anything with the bat, right? Mullins has to come through in that spot. Beatty did come through. Vientos had to come through. Pete Alonso had to come through. Soto had to come through. So that's the problem. That is the overall problem. And it's frustrating because it sucks. Because it should have been a game where the Mets had opportunities to come back when it was 5-4. They just failed. But again, you can't just blame the offense, say, oh, they didn't get the job done. Well, you can't score 6 runs every game and think that that's how it's supposed to be. When the Mets don't win low-scoring games anymore because the pitching don't allow low-scoring games. Because they're consistently if it's not David Peterson, they're consistently give up more than 3 runs every game. So you have to score 5, 6, 7 runs every game to win. That's not sustainable. No offense can do that. You got to win 2-1 games, 1-0, 3-2, 4-3 games. Angel, everybody's talking about Parada, but like he's been okay in the minors. He's been better than what he was last year with the injuries and everything like that. But we just don't know that. Like, you're just going to jump him to AA and say, hey, I'll be your starting catcher when you got 36 games to go? That's not – like, you're just falling into that same roster construction problem that we already have. Like, you're trying to use a kid that has no major league experience and hope he does well. And if he doesn't, you're back to square one with Luis Torrens. So, David, but we don't know that. We don't know that. We have no idea. Yeah, but all of a sudden Kevin Parada needs that fire. We don't need fire. We need Pete Alonso to do better. We need Soto to do better. We need Nimmo before he's hurt to do better. We need Vientos to continue to do what he's done the last 2 games prior to last night. Yeah, Dola, everybody's going to say you take a chance with Parada, but you know what? You can't do that with 36 games to go because what's going to happen? He's going to struggle and he's going to sit on the bench. So you're going to have another prospect sitting on the bench for nobody that's good in Torrens or Senga, whoever's going to be on this team, and you're going to sit him. And then you're going to play him once or twice a week. He's going to be cold. He might be decent behind the plate. And by the way, his defense isn't very good. So there's something, it's not just the bat, right? His defense isn't better than Senga or Luis Torrens, and it's not up to par where the Mets feel comfortable. They sent Alvarez down because his defense wasn't good. You're going to bring up Parada, who isn't good behind the plate, who has no rapport with the pitching staff? Dangerous game to play when you're trying to save a playoff spot. Yeah, Angel, but we're not talking about the bat. We guys are fixated on the bat. Guys, if 1 through 7 does their job, we should not be talking about the catcher who is a liability offensively. We can't have every great hitter 1 through 9. Nobody has that. We got to stop. Like, why are we fixated on their offense? Complain about Mullins, who had 2 opportunities yesterday and failed. Luis Torrens, you hope he comes through. But unfortunately, those runs found him on the base paths. Like, I just don't understand. Yeah, David, we can always send them back down, but who does that help? You probably mess with the head of Kevin Parada. You send them back down, so you're back to Luis Torrens once again. No, I'm not leaving Mullins alone because he's supposed to get the job done there, not Luis Torrens. Like, we know what Luis Torrens is offensively. By the way, the guys that didn't do anything after the 6th inning, it was a lot of the guys at the top of the order in the middle of the order. That's why it ended up being Mullins and Torrens having to do the job because the other guys up top didn't do their job. Yeah, Dola, I agree with that. But we're fixated on that like it matters. You see, this is the Francisco Alvarez problem. This is why I don't like people want an offensive catcher over a defensive catcher. Like, it fucks with people's heads way too much. We're fixated that a catcher needs to be good offensively. We should have a better lineup. The lineup didn't do their job, so it ended up relying on Cedric Mullins and Luis Torrens. Blame everybody else at the top of the order that didn't do their job from the 6th inning on. Because between the 6th inning and the 9th inning, the top of the order got opportunities twice from that point. They didn't do it. And David, you could say I'm wrong, but I'm not. You're obsessed with Senga and Luis Torrens' offense, which you shouldn't be. Other guys didn't do their job in a lineup, and we're talking about Luis Torrens. When we know he's not a good hitter, but you expect the 9th hitter to be good, find me a 9th hitter that's good. Find me on another team. Find one. They're batting probably around 210, 215, 220. And probably is a catcher, because most catchers suck in baseball. And Francisco Alvarez has sucked for the majority of this time and constantly injured, but that's another conversation for another day. Well, David, now we're talking about Solo Soto. That's fine. And again, we can blame those guys. Those guys didn't do the job from the 6th inning on. And because they didn't do that job, it led to lesser hitters in your lineup needing to come through. David, I never said that. I'm saying the guys at the top in the middle of this order from the 6th inning to the 9th inning didn't do their job. So numerous times from those 4 innings, the 6 through the 9 inning, they could not do their job. So we had to rely on guys that are lesser in this lineup. That's the problem. That should have never led to Mullins having to do the job or Luis Torrens having to extend the inning. Like, that's the problem. That is the overall problem. And it's frustrating as hell because the other guys are not doing the job, and we can't wait to blame Luis Torrens. And we can blame Cedric Mullins, right? He's a professional. He needs to be better in those spots. He needs to hit a sac fly in that spot. He did it. He hit a short fly ball. Not good enough. But again, Cedric Mullins isn't a difference maker. If Cedric Mullins shouldn't have come up in that spot if other guys did their job. Same thing with Luis Torrens. Multiple times had people on base to take a lead or tie a game or extend innings, and we had to rely on the least best hitters in our lineup. That shouldn't happen because they come through not a lot and less often. But that's not rare. It happens all around baseball. 8 through 9 is not supposed to be great hitters. If that's the case, everybody would have them. And yeah, I know Acuna got hurt the other day too. Well, David, I mean, you're going to put Acuna for outfield help. Where's he playing? Because he can't hit either. Did we all forget that part either? And David Mauricio shouldn't be in the lineup. He hasn't been good enough. Sorry. So, and Acuna got hurt. So even if you want to bring him up, he doesn't hit either. So you want to start a guy who is not used to playing outfield. He played a little bit of center field when I think Taylor was pinch hit for whatever it was, and he made one diving catch, and everybody's like, oh, he's playing in center field every day. The guy doesn't hit. So you're looking at another guy who has tremendous speed but doesn't get on base because he doesn't hit. So we're back to square one. David, who said that with Beatty? I was always on a Beatty bandwagon. Most people were off it. People wanted to cut him 3 weeks ago. So no, I'm a Beatty fan. I always have been a Beatty fan. Go back to my other shows. I've always been a Beatty fan. Not me. I'm not worried about Brett Beatty. Brett Beatty has been the most consistent out of all these prospects that everybody just loves too much. Right? Luisano Acuna has shown no signs this year of hitting at least serviceable average-wise because his speed is useless as a starter. So what are you going to do? Put him in center field so we can make a good catch? We got Mullins. We got Tyrone Taylor for that. If we had a better hitter, he would be playing center field if he was a center fielder. Acuna hasn't hit. Mauricio is not better. Not right. I mean, better than Acuna? Yeah, I agree with that, but that's not saying much because Mauricio hasn't been good enough. That's the problem. I don't think these guys have developed enough. That's the problem. Like, everybody wants Luisano Acuna for what? so we can pinch run in the 8th inning? I don't want a top prospect doing that. I don't. He needs time to develop, and I don't think he's going to be a very good player anyway. And if he does become a good player, I think he's going to be, a solid major leaguer. Where to play him, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be an outfielder. Like, the issue is that with Luis Acuna, and he's hurt, he just got hurt, so there's not an option. But even if you wanted Acuna to come up, he doesn't hit enough where he doesn't even walk enough to allow his speed to become a weapon. That is why he didn't play much when he was still up here. That is why he got the first call to be sent down once we made trades at the deadline. Because it's not useful enough. You can't always wait for a pinch running opportunity to leave him on the bench. One, you're not making him develop. He's not starting on your team because he's not good enough offensively. And that's why he's sent back down. And David, I agree with you. They should bring up Jet Williams. But I don't know if they're going to do that. Again, another reason why the roster construction is stupid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but David, we don't have numerous opportunities. We don't. And Davin says, yeah, Acuna can run. Yeah, as a pinch runner. He doesn't get on base enough to warrant him starting. So he doesn't hit, which is the problem within the areas of where we need him to play. People are like, oh, throw him in center field. Why? He doesn't hit like Tyrone Taylor. He doesn't hit like Cedric Mullins. And I trust a real center fielder like Mullins or Taylor to make the catches defensively and know where to throw the ball when there's runners on base. Because I think Acuna is kind of an idiot and has a low baseball IQ. I don't want that guy in center field. So that's, well, I agree with you. Like, there is no consistency. That's why I don't like the roster construction. And Siri's going to be starting a minor league assignment soon. Now, again, this is another situation where Jose Siri. Now, I thought Jose Siri, if he was going to be the starting center fielder, in my opinion, I think that he was going to be a guy that can hit you 20 home runs, and he'll provide the power, and he does have speed. He'll hit 200, but he can hit home runs. He can hit 18 home runs for you. But at this point, I can't trust Jose Siri playing center field for the possibility of him hitting for power. Well, David, yeah, I agree. The lineup is not consistent. And that's why when the lineup is not consistent, we're talking about the lesser hitters in the lineup, which shouldn't be the case. So I'm blaming the bigger guys. I'm not blaming the lesser guys. We know what the lesser guys are. But we're expecting them to come through in the biggest moments when the bigger guys weren't coming through in the bigger moments. That's not fair. Two, that's idiotic to think the lesser hitters are going to always come through more often than the bigger players. The bigger players, the top guys in this lineup, from the 6th inning through the 9th inning, had two at-bats to come through and to do damage and to tie a game or go ahead. And they didn't do it. Now we had to rely on Cedric Mullins and Luis Torrens. Why is that their fault? Now, they're major leaguers. They should come through, but we know they're not the best players. Cedric Mullins isn't a difference maker. Now, again, he should have got that sac fly. He should have been better. But when you rely on the lesser hitters in your lineup, you're probably going to get lesser results. It's simple mathematics. It's simple. No, Dolo, it's not 18 home runs is a stretch. He hit 16 to 18 home runs the majority of the time with Tampa. He has power. That's all he has. Power and speed. Now, I don't consider power 18 home runs, but you listen to David Stearns, that's all he talked about with Jose Siri. Great defense, and he hits home runs. That's what he said. So I'm going with David Stearns. I don't like it, but that's what he said. But again, I think Jose Siri would have been better than Tyrone Taylor, and that might have led to not worrying about center field because you're getting enough offense from center field, and you wouldn't have to get Cedric Mullins. So you could have used those prospects to get something else beneficial, like, a starter. But I guess not. So, unfortunately, the game starts. We have to figure out if Sean Manaea can actually look like a pitcher that can actually be a top starter and earn his $20 million against Mackenzie Gore, who hasn't had the best season this year, but he does pitch well against the Mets. So, you got Marte batting third. He's been crushing left-handers. He's been red hot, but hasn't played in a couple of days other than yesterday coming in for Nimmo because Vientos has been hitting better. So Marte, who's been red hot, has been sitting. So I don't know what to expect from him. But he's been one of the better hitters. There we go. McNeil. And by the way, guys, McNeil is not in the lineup for everybody who doesn't know. He's dealing with right shoulder soreness. Now, maybe the shoulder soreness is, and I'm a little surprised because I feel like McNeil to be a gamer, like he's that, he's not a great player, but he's a badass. He seems like a guy that would, run through a brick wall for your team. I'm a little shocked that shoulder soreness is keeping McNeil out of the lineup, but it must be a little bit more extreme for him to be out of the lineup. So I don't think it's just like DeComo wrote that, and I know the Mets probably said shoulder soreness. I think it's more painful than just shoulder soreness. Like I wake up with shoulder soreness every day, but my ass is getting to work. Now I'm not swinging a bat 4 times in a game, but you would think McNeil would play if it was only shoulder soreness. He would play through it, but it must be very painful. It must be worse than shoulder soreness. Not like a bad injury, but like it just hurts to the point where he can't swing a bat. Then I'm like, okay, McNeil shouldn't be in the lineup. So that's why you got Marte in there. That's why you got Taylor in there. Because McNeil is out and Nimmo's out. So your offense kind of lacks a little bit. But again, it's up to Lindor. It's up to Soto. It's up to Orlando. Vientos, who, everybody wants in the lineup now. He's in there. He needs to step up. Brett Beatty has been red hot. Let's get it done, guys. Let's win a series. Again, we're so focused on sweeps because we've been so bad. Win a series. It sucks that you have to wait until the 3rd game of the series and have a potential losing series, which would be terrible. But Shomanai is due. He needs to step up and go 6 innings, throw 95 pitches, and give me a 2 runs or less performance. I'm sick and tired of people giving excuses to Shomanai as well. $20 million man, step the hell up. With that said, guys, I will be doing a post game after the game. Hopefully, we're talking about a Mets win. Enjoy the game. Let's go Mets. Thank you for tuning into the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel. I'll see you on the post game show. Let's go Mets and enjoy the game, guys.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, repping both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire misunderstood. Hear 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city sand lights to the skyline greens. It's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans drift in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever.